Hello and welcome to another GCSE revision video, and in this video we're going to be talking about indices. Okay, indices is just plural for index, and the index is the small number to the top right of a larger number that represents how many powers that number is raised to. So for example, 2 with an index of 2 means 2 raised to the power of 2, which is basically telling you how many times that number is multiplied by itself. So 2 to the power 2 means 2 times 2. 5 to the power 3 means 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, so why not just write it out in full instead of putting that silly little number on the top right? Well, have you tried writing out 5 to the power 25 in full? Okay, so let's get a little bit of terminology out the way. The tiny number to the top right is called the index. It might also be known as the power. The larger number is called the base. So we raise a base to the power of the index. Sometimes you'll find the base is multiplied by another number, and that number is called the coefficient. So we have something like the coefficient multiplied by the base raised to the power of the index. So if you find a number like something like 3 times 10 to the power 3, no, let me use a better example, 3 times 10 to the power 4, the 3 would be the coefficient, the 10 would be the base, and the 4 would be the index. Okay, so this brings us to the law of indices. If we've got the same bases and we're trying to multiply two numbers with the same base, and this only works if the bases are the same, then we can multiply the two numbers just by adding the indices. So for example, 3 raised to the power 3, or 3 cubed, multiplied by 3 raised to the power 2, or 3 squared, because the bases are the same, we've got 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3, which we're multiplying by 3 squared, which is 3 times 3. So this is the same as 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 3 to the power 5. Well, we might as well just add the two indices. 3 cubed times 3 squared is equal to 3 raised to the power of 3 plus 2, which is 3 to the power 5. And the exact same thing works in reverse. If we are dividing, provided the bases are the same, we can divide two numbers in index notation just by subtracting the indices. So for example, 3 raised to the power 5 divided by 3 squared is equal to 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 divided by 3 times 3. Well, we can cancel out the two 3's on the bottom with 2 of the 3's on the top, leaving us just with 3 times 3 times 3, which is 3 cubed. This is the same as saying 3 to the power 5 divided by 3 squared is the same as 3 to the power 5 minus 2, which is 3 to the power 3. Again, I want to stress this only works if the bases are the same. Okay, well, so much for the theory. Let's have a go at putting some of this into practice. Let's try something like 2 to the power 25 multiplied by 2 to the power 5. Well, trying to do that longhand would be just ridiculously hard, but it's very easy to do in index notation. All we do is remember our law of indices. We just add the indices. So that's the same as 2 to the power 25 plus 5 is 30, so this is equal to 2 to the power 30. Simple as that. Okay, let's try something going the other way. Let's try something like 5 to the power 15 divided by 5 to the power 5. Well, that's equal to 5 to the power 15 minus 5, which is equal to 5 to the power 10. Again, nothing too taxing there. Okay, where some people might get caught out, if you had something like what is 5 to the power 10 divided by 5. Some people might be tempted to say, well, that's 1 to the power 10, which obviously it isn't. The key to remember is that if you've just got the base on its own with no index, what that means is 5 raised to the power 1. So this is equal to 5 to the power of 10 minus 1, which is equal to 5 to the power 9. You might also get something like, what is half of 2 to the power 3? Well, again, in this case, a half times something is the same as dividing by 2. So this is equal to 2 to the power 3 divided by 2 to the power 1, which is equal to 2 to the power 3 minus 1, which is equal to 2 squared. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and I'd like to wish you all the best with your revision and all the best with your exams. Why don't you try out a few examples like that where you're multiplying and dividing numbers in index notation, and I'll see you in the next video.